Just finished watching the San Francisco 49ers lose to the Miami Dolphins here in the beautiful Dominican Republic. And I'll tell you what, nothing brings excitement to watching a 49er game that means literally zero for them because they were eliminated from the playoffs before that game even kicked off than watching your San Francisco 49ers play in Spanish. Man, super, super exciting stuff. But I was able to watch them, and I do find it interesting. In a game that meant nothing for the 49ers, we saw efforts from Deebo Samuel and Kyle Juszczyk like we have not seen all season long, almost as if this was last week and the season was on the line, but it wasn't. It was this week, and the game meant absolutely nothing. Eric Saubert caught his first touchdown. Glad to see three players that really haven't done a lot all season decide to show up when it mattered least. So good for them. Dre Greenlaw left with a calf injury, which really shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, you're overcompensating coming back from an Achilles injury. He played his butt off the week before. I hope that he's going to be okay, but I would imagine that it's just more. If you look at his calf, he had definite atrophy where his calf that was on the injured leg was much smaller than his calf that was on the non-injured leg. And I noticed that right away when he was getting ready to play last week. And, he ends up hurting himself. He was hurt last week. I think he should shut it down, and the 49ers should do what they can to bring him back, assuming that he can be healthy and they can get him for a decent price. But the Miami Dolphins do win this game. I tried to avoid it. I did, but we got to talk about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy played pretty decent all game long. The whole left side of the line was reworked. Shout out to Spencer Burford, by the way, who I thought for a while and have been saying for a while that I believe he could be the right tackle of the future. He played tackle in college at UTSA. He filled in admirably tonight for Jalen Moore. And then Banks went down late as well. It's not like Banks is great, but, it's still a downgrade anytime you bring in Nick Sakel. But that's what the 49ers were dealing with. That being said, Brock Purdy once again had two opportunities to go win this game and could not cash in on either one, throwing the game-ending interception on that second time around. And this is now officially a thing. We've got Brock Purdy. We saw him last week. Could he overcome playing bad in inclement weather? The answer was no. So he officially not great in bad weather. Then I started posting stats this week about him and plus or minus 7-point games in the fourth quarter, basically close games in the fourth quarter, how he's been piss poor. And he had a chance to overcome that in a game that really meant nothing. No pressure, really. I mean, all he had to do was go out and perform. If he didn't, I guess not the end of the world because it's not like they were making the playoffs. And he still couldn't perform. Had two chances at it, threw an interception on that second to last drive it ended up being, but really the final chance that they had to win that game. And they lost. They lost to the Miami Dolphins, a poor Miami Dolphins team. Tua is not a great quarterback at all. And, there you go. So, again, here we go. The Brock Purdy conversation is not going to go away. Should he be paid, 65 million dollars? I think you saw again that the answer is unequivocally no. And on, Thursday Night Football, we got to watch Justin Herbert go out there and absolutely put on a crazy performance, a guy that for some reason I've had a debate with 49er fans, who's better between Brock Purdy and Justin Herbert, because Brock Purdy has some playoff wins, and I don't understand it. We got to see both of them on display. We know the answer to that question. But Brock Purdy, once again, man, this is very much a thing. Very much a thing. So we got a guy that a lot of people are advocating to pay, who can't play well in inclement weather, cannot play well in tight games, plus or minus 7 points, and has injured his throwing arm multiple times. I don't know, man. Again, all I've ever advocated for is that they watch him for one more season before they make their decision. I don't understand why that's such a crazy take, but it gets people super flustered. And once again, I think we saw that I'm right. That's the right take. And any other take that's like, you need to pay him and he's great and he's the franchise guy, that's emotional. It's all emotional. That's you wanting a franchise quarterback. Bottom line is they should watch him play out this next season before making him any big time offer. Again, I'm cool if they want to make him like a 3-year, $45 million a year offer. I'm good with that. But anything above that, I'm straight. You just can't do it. You shouldn't do it. And we saw once again tonight the reason why. So 49ers lose a game that meant nothing. Brock Purdy, for a lot of people, had the opportunity to crush it these final 3 games and go out there and prove some things. I said, to me, it really doesn't matter what he does. But, I mean, even then, he confirmed the previous quote-unquote biases that are simply true about who he is at this point in his career. Doesn't mean he can't eventually turn it around, but I would rather see him turn it around next year before I pay him versus paying him and not knowing if he can turn it around, because officially he's not great in close games, plus or minus 7 points in the fourth quarter, and he's not great in weather. And that's the bottom line. We saw it again tonight.